There's a biker gang in Grand Theft Auto 6 that runs an entire county, not just a few blocks like the old games, the whole thing, jobs and money and all of it, straight from Rockstar's own description. And that one detail breaks the video everybody keeps making about this game's gangs. Because everyone's out here reciting the same list, the Haitians, the bikers, whoever's coming back. But there isn't really a gang list in this one. Rockstar built something else, and once you see it, you can already tell which crimes are gonna pay where in Leonida. Start with the one gang thing they've already let us get our hands on. Down in the south side of Vice City, there's a crew called the PTT Youngins. The studio calls them one of Leonida's loudest, most online gangs, the kind that films everything they do for clout. And here's the fun part. They grow hydroponic weed in the last places you'd ever think to look. Their base is a walled goods store stuffed with contraband, and in the deluxe version of the game, you can roll straight up on it, raid the whole compound, and slip out with special items you can't grab anywhere else. And notice what that tells you. You don't join this crew, you don't rep their colors, you just show up and take their stuff. To you, this gang is just a building full of loot sitting at one spot on the map. Hold on to that, because it's the whole pattern in miniature. Now drive north, out of the city, and into farm country, a place called Ambrosia. Sugar refineries, fields getting burned off, swamp on every side, and honestly, the only straight job in town looks like the refinery. Everything else runs through an outlaw motorcycle club called The Final Chapter. The club fronts through a bunch of local businesses, so half of what looks like a normal little town is theirs. Their jacket patches date them back to 1982, so these guys are over 40 years deep, and if you look close in the trailer, you can spot an enforcer patch on one of them, which tells you there's a real rank structure in there. But here's the line that should stop you cold. In Rockstar's own write-up of the town, the club provides almost everything the county needs, except legal work. Sit with that for a second. If you want money in Ambrosia and you're not on the refinery payroll, odds are you're working for these guys in some way. Once a biker crew is the main employer for a whole region, calling it a street gang kind of misses what's really going on. Real quick, since we're doing a full tour of the whole state here, this channel breaks down every corner of Leonida one video at a time, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe and you'll catch all of them. Okay, back to it. Now head all the way south, down to the Leonida Keys, the island chain hanging off the bottom of the map. This is where Jason starts the story, and his boss down there is a guy named Brian Heder. Rockstar describes him as a classic drug runner from the golden age of smuggling in the Keys. He looks like a beach bum, but moves like a great white shark, and that's their line, not mine. His whole operation hides in plain sight. It runs out of a working boat yard and marina, with a little seaplane he uses to move product up and down the coast. He's even got a buddy named Cal Hampton who sits around listening in on Coast Guard radio, so the shipments never get caught. And there's a line where Brian brags about hauling so much weed in that plane, he could make the whole state float. So down here, the crime down here is a smuggling business with a legit front, a boat yard, a plane, an inside man on the radio, and Jason's the muscle, collecting debts and running jobs for it. Now, back in Vice City itself, this is where it gets genuinely new for a Grand Theft Auto game. Meet Boobie Ike. Rockstar calls him a local legend, a guy who turned his time in the streets into an actual empire. Real estate, a strip club called the Jack of Hearts, and a record label, Only Raw Records, that he runs with a former dealer named Draquan Priest. Rockstar even describes Draquan as a hustler at heart, a guy who was always chasing his way out of the streets and into the music business. They've even signed a rap duo, two girls who turned shaking down local dealers into real money through their tracks and a non-stop social media presence. Sounds legit, right? Except in the second trailer, Boobie pretty much says the quiet part out loud, that the drug money is what pays for all of it. So think about what that even is. It's not a street gang and it's not a biker club. It's basically a guy laundering drug money through a record label and a nightclub, signing artists, chasing a hit record. That's a completely different kind of criminal operation than a stash house you raid or a smuggler down in the Keys. Same game, but a totally different animal, sitting right in the middle of the city. And then there's the one that ties all these worlds together. His name's Raul Bautista, and Rockstar flat out calls him a seasoned bank robber, the kind of guy who puts together a crew for the big professional jobs. He's charming, he's confident, and according to his official profile, he gets a little more reckless with every score, always chasing a bigger payout for a bigger risk. You can already see him in the trailer in a shootout right next to Jason and Lucia, almost certainly mid-heist. Raul's the thread. He's the one who pulls the two of them up out of the small stuff, the debt collecting, the little robberies. and into the real scores. And that lines up exactly with how Rockstar describes the actual story. It kicks off with an easy job that goes wrong, and that one score drags them both into a criminal conspiracy that spreads across the whole state. Lucia's fresh out of prison when it all starts. Jason's the ex-soldier running errands for smugglers, and one of Raul's jobs is what turns them into the pair the whole game revolves around. So now you've got a smuggler in the Keys, a biker club up north, a record label in the city, and a heist crew moving between all of them. Step back and look at the shape of that. Every single one of these is a different type of criminal outfit. A street gang with a stash house, a biker club that runs a county, a smuggler with a boatyard, a record label washing drug money, a professional heist crew, and every one of them is locked to a specific place on the map and a specific hustle. That's the thing Rockstar built here. And it's why the old idea of a gang doesn't quite fit this game. In the games before this one, a gang was mostly a crew you fought over turf, a color, a few blocks, a rival crew across the street. So here, the map isn't really carved up into turf like before. It's carved up into economies. Each region runs on its own kind of crime, and the studio has been telling us which crime pays where, right there in the town and character descriptions, this whole time. And it doesn't even stop at the obvious crooks. That same sugar company back in Ambrosia, the one that owns the refinery, is quietly bankrolling a candidate for local mayor, so the money and the muscle bleed right into the politics too. Now I want to be straight with you here, because most videos about gangs in this game are built almost entirely out of this next part. There's a second list of gangs going around, and Rockstar has not actually confirmed a single one of them. There's a Haitian street gang people call San for San, tied to a neighborhood based on Little Haiti. There's the Guardia Brothers, some kind of crime family. There's a militia hiding out in the wetlands, and a whole drug crew supposedly running Port Gellhorn, and people keep talking about the Vercetti name coming back from the old Vice City. That last one actually comes from a tiny detail, a pair of revolvers in the Deluxe edition that are listed as coming from the Vercetti estate, and fans just ran with it. But all of that traces back to the 2022 leaks, or to fans freeze-framing murals and bandanas in the trailers. It's fun to guess at, and honestly, some of it will probably turn out to be real. Right now, though, it's speculation, and that's the whole difference. Everything I walked you through earlier came straight out of Rockstar's own descriptions. This second list is the part we genuinely don't know yet. So what does all of this actually mean for you whenever you finally sit down to play it? Probably this: you're not going to pick one gang and rep it for the entire game the way you did in the older ones. You're going to move through these economies instead. One day, you're the muscle for a smuggler in the Keys. The next, you're raiding that PTT compound in the Southside for contraband. Then you're pulling a professional bank job with Raul, or doing dirty work for a record label mogul in the city. The whole time, you're basically a freelance criminal, and wherever you happen to be standing decides what kind of crime is even on the table. And that raid on the Youngins from the very start of this video, the one where you rob the gang instead of joining it, that's not a one-off. That looks like the template for how you deal with almost every crew in Leonida. You roll up, you take what they've got, and the map keeps the score. That's the real gang system in this game. The whole state is carved into criminal businesses, just sitting there waiting for two robbers to work their way through it, one crew at a time. And if you want to see where a good chunk of that drug money actually ends up, I already broke down Port Gellhorn, that faded little drug town on the other coast, and that video's playing right here. Go check it out.